You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.
Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM and the host of Community Forum. With me today for the very first time ever, thank you very much for coming on the show. I haven't even introduced you to anybody yet. Her name is Mannie Bemis. Mannie Bemis is the director of the Carlsbad Community Theater. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions here in a minute, but thank you very much for coming on. Also, a return guest is on quite a bit, but in a completely different role this time. It is the director of the Carlsbad Public Library, Sarah Jones. But what's your title today?
Assistant director.
The assistant director of the Carlsbad Community Theater, and the play that is being put on by the community on December 7th. Today is December 5th, Thursday, December 5th. So just tomorrow at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., you're going to be able to go and watch an O. Henry Christmas.
Correct.
Right. Somebody tell me the story of O. Henry. Now, I've read it on the website before the interview, but I'm not familiar with it as far as like being one of those classic Christmas things that I pay attention to. So go ahead and share a little bit about that, Mannie.
Sure. This is a play that is composed of different stories from O. Henry, who was a master storyteller. That's a pen name. His name was William Sidney Porter.
Okay.
He lived in the late 1800s. He wrote short stories. I remember reading his short stories in junior high school. The Gift of the Magi and The Ransom of Red Chief are the ones that stand out the most. He was most known for putting a twist at the end of his stories.
Like every one of them?
Every one of them.
Okay. So
Yes.
So you're not going to tell us the twist on this one?
No.
Because they have to show up on Friday to watch it, right?
That's right.
Okay,
so this is actually some of the stories put together in a situation where O. Henry himself comes into a hobo encampment.
Right. At the end of some rail spur on the outskirts of town, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. And so, like, you know, without giving away the play, even though this is a very, very historic play, like you can find it anywhere you want, it's the idea of like somebody being in despair on the holidays and then finding joy at the end of it.
Without giving away too much.
Without
That's
giving
part
away
of
too
it,
much.
yes.
Yeah, because I mean, if you lead off with a hobo on a rail spur on the outside of town, probably not going to their mansion, would be my guess.
That's
right?
correct. Plus there's sickness and there's drunkenness,
And so
despair.
So I think that this takes place in 1893, if I read
Correct.
correctly, right? So you'd have to put yourself in 1893 to relate with what's happening there.
Not necessarily.
No? Okay.
Because it's a universal situation.
Okay.
And we have people in dire straits today, and we have homeless people today.
No, absolutely.
So even though the setting is in 1893, the stories that are told and the appeal is universal.
So what about the language from the author, right? So the language from 1893 is going to be a little bit different than the language that we use today, typically. Have you updated it at all, or did we go with the original?
We go with the original. O. Henry was a prolific writer. He was very good with words. He loved playing with words, and that comes through in the script.
Excellent. Sarah, so as the assistant director, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your role is when it comes to this?
I just do whatever Mannie needs me to do. I show up. I'm helping them with their lines, helping give a second perspective. So
we have a 2-hour play, right, Mannie? We have about 2-hour play. It's going to be a little less than you get there at 7 by the time you get out. $15 is a steal. What does the money go to? So it's $15 for an adult, $8 for students, right? So if you're a student, it's only $8 regardless of your age, right? Where does the money go to? How does going to this play and funding this help out?
Well, we are a nonprofit.
Okay.
So it costs money to put on plays.
Right, right.
We have to purchase materials for the sets and build the sets. We just got a new sound system and lighting system.
Oh,
so we
nice.
have had some grants that have helped with that. But we've also, we're working on remodeling our bathrooms.
Right.
Our building, this is kind of an interesting thing. Do you know about our building?
I know that the building is located at 4713 National Parks Highway, and when you drive by it, I just from observation, it looks a little dated.
It is a little
Okay.
dated. It was built during World War II.
Is it like, okay, that's great.
We had an Army airfield
Yeah.
out at where the airport is now. And our building was the commissary for that.
Oh, that's cool.
So it dates back to World War II.
Right. So anybody who's not familiar with the military, the commissary is literally the grocery store on the base. And the reason I know that is my dad was in the Air Force for 26 and a half years.
Okay.
My grandfather for 30 years in the Air Force before that. So I remember graduating college when I still had access to the military base, wondering how I'm going to survive because I can't get on the military base to buy groceries and gasoline, just because you're conditioned and it's a little bit cheaper. So yeah, that used to be the commissary. And I can see back in World War II, they probably only needed a commissary that big,
Probably, yeah.
So, Mannie, how many plays do you direct a year? Do you direct everyone that's out here at the community theater?
Heavens, no. I don't even direct every year.
Okay.
I usually co-direct with Carolyn Olson for the summer musical.
Right.
And maybe every 2 or 3 years, I'll direct one of the plays from the regular season.
Okay, but tell me a little bit about yourself then, right? So how did you become passionate about being a director? Obviously, you liked acting. You probably love musicals. Tell me a little bit your history. Tell the listeners your history as to how you even do this every few years.
Okay. I worked for 12 years as the theater teacher at Carlsbad High School.
Okay.
Before that, I was active in community theater. When I went to college, I studied drama education.
Where'd you go to school at?
New Mexico State.
Okay. Well,
in
I'm
Las Cruces.
an Eastern grad, but it's okay.
It's just something that's always been attractive to me. I enjoy doing it.
So you made a career out of it for a while.
As a teacher.
Yeah, as a teacher, right? And then after you got done teaching, may I ask what you did after that?
I went out to that, I twiddled my thumbs for a while and I substitute taught and got very bored being retired. And then I went to Carlsbad Caverns and I worked there for 5 years as a ranger. I still volunteer there.
Are you a big caver yourself? Do you enjoy caving in the community?
I did.
Yeah.
All these gray hairs keep me out of it.
It's, going into the caverns is not really, it's not really all that nerve wracking, but when you get to the county and you go into these other caves that BLM and everybody has that you can access on your own, it gets a little scary in my opinion.
It does.
Yeah, you really need to know what you're doing to feel comfortable down there for sure. So acting and directing and community plays, community theater, I would say, because even on a university level, community is still kind of a community theater thing, I think. It's just been something you've always just loved, right? So do you have a favorite character that you ever played?
I really enjoyed doing Laura from the Glass Menagerie, and I enjoyed doing Glory from Grace and Glory.
Are you a singer?
No.
No? You leave the singing to the others, you just do the acting?
Yes.
How many, Sarah, maybe ask a question for you. How many individuals are in this play? Like, how many different people do we bring in?
Well, there are only a few actors and actresses that are in it, but they play different parts.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Well, it does. I mean, you guys, let me pivot to another question there real quick, Sarah and or Mannie. Do we find it hard to staff enough people in our place, in our community? Do we need more and more people that are willing to put themselves out there, even though they may not have any experience?
Indubitably.
Indubitably. Thank you. That was a word that she said before we started, and I'm so glad that she did that. And another indubitably thing that you need is donations, right? Forever.
Yes.
Somebody tell me, Sarah, why don't you tell me, since you're co-directing and you're volunteering, of course, and I know everybody's volunteering there, you're a very, very busy person, you're a mom, you got a lot going on. Why is this such a passion for you?
Well, when Carolyn Olson asks you to serve on the board, you don't say no.
Okay.
No, the community theater has always had a special place in my heart. My parents supported it when I was little. My very first play I saw out there, and it kind of built a love for the theater. And so many people that are still active in it are people that I've known my whole life. Growing up, we would go out and help Carolyn and Ole Olson do the sets. So it's just been a positive thing in my life, and I love giving back to the community. So this is another way I do it. So.
How can you volunteer, Mannie? How can volunteers get a hold of you? How can they get involved if they want to be?
Well, we do have a Facebook page and a website, and the Facebook page always tells when auditions are going to be.
Okay.
So people can check for when the auditions are going to be and come out to the auditions. They can audition for an acting role, or you can volunteer to help with set, help in the booth, help at the box office.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you guys have concessions out there at all?
We do.
Okay. Alcohol?
No.
No. Okay. I mean, you might get a little bit more attendance if you can get up here, but I know that there's so much related to that. So you have concessions, so that's how you make money. So the concessions is volunteer ran as well.
Yes.
I assume. So is everything volunteer ran? Do you have any paid staff members at all?
None.
So how long has this organization been together?
We're in our 66th season.
66th season. That is just impressive. Same building the whole time?
No, I don't believe so.
No, so the World War II building was an upgrade at one point.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. What does it take? And if you don't answer this question, you don't know that or not, because as Sarah knows, when I do these things, questions just pop in my head and I decide to ask them, right? But I'm kind of curious as to like how much annually does it take to operate the theater financially, right? Like I'm trying to get an idea of how much money the community needs to come together and pitch in to help this theater out. Small donations are always welcome, of course.
We need our treasurer
Yeah,
here to
I know.
answer that.
That's what I think. I'm just going to say, obviously, you're running it as thinly as possible. You're doing
We
everything
do.
on volunteers,
and,
right?
Everything is volunteered. We will reuse costumes, set pieces, props. Everything gets reused, repainted, rebuilt.
Yeah. Do you have enough space in that building now, or do you guys feel like you need a new one soon? Like, what's the long-term strategy?
I don't know.
There's been talk about building a new building and using the current one as storage or a practice space, but
Right. I mean, I don't know what's going on in the community. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just going to put something out there. I don't know 100% what the new Cavern Theater is going to be used for whenever it's done. But I do know that it was a movie theater, and now it's being turned into a performance place, right, where it's going to have a stage and everything. So I don't know if there's potential there or not, but it seems like there could be. And I'm just throwing that out there because you got PR Leva, you got the high school that just built a huge, beautiful auditorium. All right, then we got the Cavern Theater. Then we've got Walter Gerald's if you ever needed to do that, right? And then you got the community theater. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud about how the community can utilize what is going to be a really great new space.
One thing that is nice about having a small performance space is you get an intimacy between the audience and the cast. And they work together. And that's that is the big difference, I think, between live theater and going to a movie.
Right.
Is you have that interaction. And in a small space, it just gets that much cozier, and you have that much more intimacy.
How small of a space are we talking? I've actually never stepped foot in that building.
We will seat about 120, maybe.
that sounds right. Maybe a little less, yeah.
So it's small.
Yeah, it's intimate.
And after COVID, our numbers went down quite a bit,
Right.
but they've been coming back up.
Good,
and
good.
we have had quite a few sellouts with some of our more recent plays. So that's exciting to know that we've got it filled to the max.
Right.
But it also enhances the whole experience, the performance,
Yeah.
when you have that tightness.
Yeah, when
if you put it in a space that seats 500 and you've got 80 people in there, they get lost.
Yeah, it's really all perception at that point, right?
Sure.
Like you can have 80 people in a 100-seat auditorium, and it feels like a really crowded, really great vibe, right? You put 100 people in a 500-seat arena or whatever venue, it's not going to feel the same. You're right.
Right.
It's like any comedy show that I've been to where like there's a bunch of people there, or it's really crowded. It's a lot more fun than when it's like kind of sparsely, right?
Sure.
Because the crowd plays off of each other and the emotions of each other as well. I really respect that answer. That's a great one. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. Tell me a little bit more about the Carlsbad Community Theater, and it's I know it's started. I don't know when it started. 66 years ago. We got a new building. How long have you personally been involved with the community theater?
Around 30 years, I think.
Sarah, how long for you?
Well, it depends. If you just like attending, probably 34 years, but I've been more active the last 2 or 3. So
Okay.
even in high school, I was a judge for the plays. So
Wow, a judge for the plays.
Yeah. We have judges that come out and rate performances, and we do annual awards and things like that.
Oh, wow,
So-
that's great. So you're there's some competitive edge here, huh, Manny?
Oh, yeah.
This is in the rep. So does the voting? I mean, so when you judge them, does the judging stop? Is this the last play before the end of the judging for 2024, or how does that work?
No, it's for the full season. So,
So the season starts in the fall and then ends in the spring.
yeah, Matt's
right?
season was the first play of this season, which was in October. And so ours is just a second. So there's still 2 plays left.
Okay. Oh, I love the competitive aspect of that. Look at that.
Yeah, the awards were pretty nice last year too.
Well, what are you looking for as a judge, Sarah?
I think we judge on the set, the costume, the play choice, then the actors themselves, their diction, how believable they were in the role. There's just different categories for each different thing. So,
Well, this is an amateur group, right?
well,
Can be.
we have a new talent that's on stage for our play that actually has an IMDb page and has actually
Ooh.
done some stuff in Hollywood.
All right,
so,
great.
So sometimes we find some quality talent.
I like to watch a small play or a community theater play, and I like to try to see if they messed up or not. Right? It's like I don't know, because if you mess up, you just keep going. Right? You want the audience to
That's
think that
right.
maybe you didn't mess up.
Right.
Right? Like so. Oh, I don't know. I think that might have been a mistake. Right? It's like, but it doesn't matter. So I wonder, as a judge, like when a mistake is made and how they recover from that. Does that make? I mean, obviously you get deducted for the mistake, right? If you know it's a mistake.
Well,
But
yeah.
but the recovery, right? The fact that it didn't phase you.
Yeah.
Does that help at all in your judging?
Yeah, because I think if they handle it well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're standing up there just staring off into space because you know you've forgotten your line
Yeah,
and doing
yeah.
nothing, I mean,
Right.
it's obvious.
That makes sense. So do you do it like ice skating judging? Right? You hold up like a 9.6 or something like that?
No, it's all anonymous, so they don't know what
Okay.
the judges score you, and they don't even know who the judges are. So
Do you compete against other community theaters in the state or the region, or is it just an internal competition?
it's just internal for this season. So
That's fun.
yeah.
Do you have any awards on your fireplace mantle from doing this, Manny?
I do have some awards. I don't have them mounted.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had a trophy room, perhaps.
No.
Manny, you told me a little bit about your history. You told me, obviously, you love acting, you love directing, involved in all that. So tell me why, I guess, again, a little bit, you have a passion for the community theater. Sarah has a passion for community theater. Karen Olson, we all know in the community, has a passion for the community theater, right? We know that for sure. Sell me on why I should be passionate about the community theater and our listeners, and then tell me why we should donate. Why should we help this community theater thrive?
Theater is one of the arts, along with music and dance and literature, and it feeds the soul. It has the power to move your emotions. It has the power to challenge your thinking. It has the ability to take you to a different world and to ask you to look at things in a different way than you had originally thought. If it's done well, it can change your outlook. We strive to do it well. We are working all with volunteers on a shoestring budget. But as an art in itself, and really it incorporates all of the other arts. There's music and there's dance. And they all come together. There's graphic design. And it produces something that is powerful and strong and emotional and worthy of being supported. So for the improvement of your soul, I think that theater is a worthwhile endeavor. And because of that, we would appreciate any support we can get. Come watch the shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Come give us the website, Sarah. I think it's, I looked it up before, but I spaced it. It's not Carlsbad Community Theater. That's the catch,
No,
right?
it's carlsbadnmtheater.com.
And theater spelt the British way. Theatre.
The right way, yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, there are two acceptable ways. I like the one with the R and then the E personally. It
Same.
feels a lot more to me. Okay, so one more time on that website.
Carlsbad Theater. No, carlsbadnmtheater.com.
Okay. Carlsbadnmtheater.com. That's a good website to go to. Also, you can Google Carlsbad Community Theater. That'll get you there. Just make sure you click on the one for New Mexico and not California, as we all know very much so. Your Facebook page is great. It's probably the first place I would go before I even went to the website. You can also search Carlsbad Community Theater on Facebook. I did that for the interview. That works out as well. Just a friendly reminder that this is an O. Henry Christmas, directed by Mannie, Bemis, assistant director Sarah Jones. This is going to be on Friday, December 6th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. $15 per adults, $8 per students. You can buy them online right now, I noticed. Can we also buy them at the door?
Yes.
Okay. Cash accepted at the door?
Yes.
Well, of course, right? That's great.
And credit cards.
And credit cards, right? That I assume. Now the question is, do you accept cash, right? Over the cards most of the time. I think it's a great deal. None of the actors or anybody gets paid, right?
No.
Like no one's getting paid. This is all just to come and support. So I think that would be a great thing for everybody to do. I will do my best to make it. I can't promise, though. We're very busy people, but I will definitely try. What else am I missing about this? Somebody give me just a little bit more information. We've got a couple minutes left.
I'll speak up for our cast a little bit. They are very talented. With the exception of one of them, they have quite a depth of field.
Okay.
On our stage and on other stages. They have experience as directors, as actors, and they have worked very hard on their characterizations. Oh. So they are working very hard to make a very interesting, good play.
Did you have to cut some people? Did you have people audition that didn't make the cut?
We did not. We could have used a few more people to audition. Not, all of our people are doing a very good job, but sometimes you have to get creative with your casting. And we had more than one woman audition than we needed, and less one man. So we do have a woman playing a man's part.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously very okay considering how we used to do it in society. You know? Yeah, so that's good. So you always need people to audition for plays, right? What I find very interesting about community theater, which I really love about local theater, even when I was at ENMU, I went to their shows, and Albuquerque Little Theater, we were in Albuquerque for a little while, we did that too. Mm-hmm. What I really like is I like watching the young people that are passionate about it. I like thinking that, like, you know, every famous person came from some small town somewhere. You know, I mean, pretty much, right? Pretty much they came from a small town somewhere, right? So you could be watching the next movie star. You could be watching the next Tony winner. You know what I mean? You literally could be doing that. And just the idea that you might be able to say 20 years ago that I saw them when they were starting out is almost enough to go to the play myself, right? Just that within itself, you know? How many young people do you have in this one?
We have an 18-year-old. He's the youngest one.
Yeah, and I think that based on the description of the story, that's about as young as it gets, right, in this one specifically. Yes. Well, I mean, I'm really excited, really excited about this. Mannie Bemis, the director of An O. Henry Christmas. This is going to be at the Carlsbad Community Theater, 4713 National Parks Highway, Friday, December 6th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., $15 per adults, $8 per students. Bring some cash so you can visit the concession stand, things of that nature. That's about all that I have, but I want to give you both the final word. So, Sarah, you get a final word here is to sell us all to come out on Friday night.
Well, the beauty of it is the first 2 weekends in December, so you've got some options. But the perk of theater, though, is in today's society, everything's recorded and you can watch it and rewatch it. But the beauty of live stage is that each performance is different. So even if you go to multiple nights, you might get a completely different experience depending on what goes on in stage and who's in the audience. It could be interactive. And this time we've got a dog on stage. So Daisy, we keep saying, is the star of the production.
Yeah,
so.
Probably will be. I love an errant bark every once in a while, even though it's probably well trained. So I've been saying that this is Friday, December 6th. Is there a second showing? Do we have more than one day?
There's 6 showings.
Okay, now I was on the website. I didn't feel like that was incredibly clear. Oh, well. But that's because you were just selling tickets for the first one on Friday, December 6th.
Oh, well, we should be selling tickets for all of them. Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay.
And then the
13th, 14th, and 15th.
Yeah, so it's the first 2 weekends of December.
Great, good. That means I can air this more than once, too, by the way. That means anybody listening, you may have heard this a second time, just so you know.
And your tickets are good for any night.
Oh.
It's not that you buy a ticket for one particular night.
Oh, okay. So you just buy a ticket and you can choose when to go.
Correct.
All right. All right. The Carlsbad Community Theater and O'Henry Christmas. Mannie Bemis is the director. Sarah Jones is the assistant director. This is at 4713 National Parks Highway. You have 6 opportunities to watch the show. Buy a ticket. Choose one of those days, right? If you can't make one day, go the next. So that's Friday, December 6th, December 7th, December 8th. That also means December 13th is a Friday. We have a Friday the 13th this month, right? Okay. And then December 14th, Saturday, December 15th is Sunday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., 6 opportunities. Mannie, I want to give you the final word. Tell us.
Well, I'll just say that the Sunday performances are matinees that begin at 2:30.
Oh, good. Okay.
And we hope everybody will come out and enjoy the magic of Christmas as performed by Carlsbad Community Theater.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Mannie Bemis, the director, Sarah Jones, assistant director. Thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.